Hello, I'm Ryan Kerr. I have two exciting recipes for you today, both from the same cookbook in 1755, and they're meatballs. One with meat, one without meat. I have no idea what they're gonna taste like, but I think they're gonna be yummy. Let's check them out. So I went into the cookbooks yesterday looking for a recipe to do today, and I was having a lot of trouble finding something that really jumped out at me. Sometimes it goes that way, but if you keep searching, you're gonna find something interesting, and that's what happened to me when I found this Elizabeth Cleland recipe from her New and Easy Method of Cookery, one of my favorite cookbooks from the time period, and I try to give it a little space before I use it again because I like to use it a lot. At any rate, there are these two meatball recipes. In fact, there are three right next to each other, but two of them are both called another way for a forced meatball. And that stood out to me. One of them had no meat at all, and one of them had meat. And they're almost identical in their process and in their ingredients. So I was like, man, that's really interesting that she's trying to give you an opportunity to have a really good meatball-like dish, even if you don't have any meat around. And that just popped out at me as something really fun to try. I have a show on our platform, Townsends Plus, called Unpacking the Pantry. And in that show, one of the things that I really like to do is find approachable recipes. And a lot of times I'll even go back to recipes that we've done on this channel in the past because folks are already familiar with them. But the whole idea is let's take everything that can be intimidating about cooking period food out of the equation and just get down to, okay, how do I make this in my kitchen at home? This recipe seems like it's perfect for that. So I wanted to bring that to the channel and let you guys experience a little bit of what that show is about. So let's go ahead and read these recipes. You can follow along at home. Again, it's a New and Easy Method of Cookery by Elizabeth Cleland. If you plan to make these, is a really good time to get a piece of paper and write down ingredients so you can run to the store. You might even have them at home. Another sort of forced meatballs. Crumb a penny loaf and add to it 8 ounces of butter or beef suet, minced very fine, lemon peel, parsley, and a bit of onion shred fine. Season it with pepper, salt, nutmeg, wet it with 2 eggs, roll it into your hands to a paste. Then make in small balls the bigness of a nutmeg, fry them in butter. So that's obviously the non-meat version of this recipe. And then the second one is also called Another Sort of Forced Meatballs. And I love that they both have the same title. Chop an equal quantity of any tender meat with beef or mutton suet and the same quantity of crumbs of bread with lemon peel, parsley, and onion shred small. Season it with pepper, salt, nutmeg, and cloves. Wet it with eggs and work it up together, then roll it into small balls and fry them in butter. Very similar. The meat one has the addition of cloves. There's really not a whole lot different other than that. So this is what we're gonna do. For the non-meat version, it says we can use suet or butter. We're gonna use butter for that one because not everybody has suet at home or knows where they can get good suet. We carry suet at our store, so we always have a supply of that. So we use suet for the meat version. And then when we're done, we'll taste them together, see which one we like more, and maybe they'll both be just as good, and we'll just say, hey, here are 2 great options. So we started off with these big roasts of beef, and we cubed them up after putting them into strips, and then you just back and forth with your knife, you keep going until you have something that's almost like ground beef that you would buy in the store, or you might turn into a burger patty, or like I said earlier, a meatloaf. But this consistency is really good. This is what we want to start working on our meatballs. So one of the really interesting and kind of funny things about this recipe is that they even use a nutmeg as a size reference for what they want the meatball to be. So like we don't have a binder in here yet, but you can see that if we take this guy right here, we roll it up, that is, I don't think that that's, I mean, it's the right size, like a nutmeg, but I don't think that it is what we think of, or I normally think of as a meatball. Especially if you're used to something like spaghetti and meatballs or something like that, or Swedish meatballs, they're not that size. So this is gonna be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. We have all of our ingredients prepped for our meatballs. This is the meatball that has meat included. We're gonna take our meat first. I almost grabbed the breadcrumbs, but I think we're gonna start off with maybe all of that. It's just to take the same quantity of breadcrumbs as you have meat. So we're gonna put about half of these in there, maybe a little bit less than half. And now we gotta get the suet in here, because that is going to be one of the things that helps to bind this all together, as well as our egg. I'm gonna start mixing this together now. I'm gonna judge consistency as we go, and then we'll start to season it and make sure that we get onions and things like that in there. But right now, it is very dry, and I'm gonna have to get some eggs in here too. There's really not a whole lot that you can mess up right now. Just, you know, keep working it until it feels about right. You want it to be able to bind together when you form it in your hands. Like they said, almost kind of like a paste. This is really close. We're gonna use one more egg. If it goes a little too far, then we can always add more breadcrumbs. So we'll be all right. So I've got the consistency about where I want it. As you can see, you can form it pretty well at this point. We're gonna mix it together a little bit more, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the parsley and the lemons. And I don't know how much parsley I want. That's what I'm gonna start with. Some lemon peel and our onions all in here. We're gonna mix that together. On this, I would add a little and then work it and then see where you wanna go from there. You can't, it's hard to take it out, but it's easy to put it in. All right, I have all of the ingredients except for the seasoning incorporated nicely. We're gonna add a little bit of salt, black pepper, and ground clove. I don't know what I was thinking, but if John was here, this wouldn't have happened. I forgot the nutmeg when I was putting the spices in, and we all know that we cannot forget the nutmeg in this kitchen. We have finished preparing our forced meatballs. Now it is time to make the no meat meatballs. And this recipe could not be easier. You're gonna start with 6 to 8 ounces of breadcrumbs. You're gonna add about the same amount of butter. At this point, you can really start incorporating that. I kind of like to start that way and just see how much breadcrumb and butter you can mix together before you start adding other ingredients. Obviously, you're gonna have to get to your eggs pretty soon though. And again, you can always add more breadcrumb if it seems a little too wet. You can add a little bit more butter or egg if it seems too dry. Right now, we're really dry. So we're gonna get an egg in there. And this recipe tells us right off the bat it's gonna take 2 eggs. So I'm gonna start with 2 eggs. And if I need more breadcrumbs, I'll get more breadcrumbs. They'll be all right. So once we kind of get this incorporated, we'll start adding our onions and lemon peel, parsley. But yeah, it's already starting to turn into something that's moldable. It certainly doesn't feel like the other version with that meat in there. It's kind of like, it's the butter's the only thing that's semi, you know, solid along in there with the breadcrumbs. So it feels like you're just mixing it a lot more, but we're getting there. We'll just kind of well that out real quick and add in our onion. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put all of this onion in because that's gonna be our main texture component now. And the parsley, I don't know. Well, you just kind of do that you just kind of eye it. And lemon peel gives you some acid, a little bit of aromatics, so you're gonna want that. And then I'm gonna mix this up and then I'll work into my salt and pepper and nutmeg. All right, I was making a mess anyway, so I decided to get rid of my bowl and do what I do at home and just mix it on a countertop. I think I'm gonna go ahead and add some more of this parsley just because I like that flavor. And there's not gonna be any meat in this, so I want as much aromatic herb, lemon peel, I want as much flavor as we can cram into this without having any meat. Give it some salt. Ooh. It's all right if you get too much in one spot because we're going to mix it all together. Some pepper. And like I said, I like pepper. So there we go. And of course, nutmeg. And this time I didn't forget it. This is really just a lot like working a dough at this point. And if little pieces fall out as you're mixing it, then when you're done, you just kind of pick them back up. It's got a really similar consistency, you know. It still feels and looks like the other one did. And it's good to go. It's ready. I'm going to get some butter going in a pan. We're going to just kind of pull these off as we go. And I'm going to make sure to cook the ones without the meat first, so we don't have any of that meat flavor in them at all, because I want to know exactly what she wants us to taste here. What I have before me are beautiful meaty meatballs and non-meat meatballs. They both look wonderful. I am excited to try them. Here we go. This is a meat meatball with beef. That's good. Because the lemon peel in there is like, it's not there, and then pow! And it socks you right in the kisser, and it's right there. It's so good. It seems like a lot of breadcrumbs for a meat meatball. Like this is a good way to stretch your meat. So you're just like, okay, my supplies are running low, or hunting hasn't been going very well, whatever the situation may be. This is a way to get more meals out of that supply. So I like it, but it's a little breadcrumb heavy for my taste. The onion tastes good. The herbs come through. I think we spiced it right. The lemon is my favorite part. It's wonderful. Now, the non-meat meatball. The consistency is really similar. Like looking at them, I think that you can tell, but from afar you wouldn't be able to. This might be better. This is really good. It's like butter explosion, but you still have the onion, and you have the herb, and you have the lemon in this as well. I don't think the lemon sticks out as much, probably because there's more fat in this. There's a lot of butter in here. What it tastes like is a hush puppy. So if you've ever gone out for fish with your family and had a side of hush puppies, that's what this is, except it's a lot better. It's better than any hush puppy I've ever had. I'm not going to say that there's a winner here because they're both really good. But if you do make hush puppies at home, this is your recipe. Do this instead. Whatever you're doing, scrap it. This is it. And this is a really great meatball. If I were going to make it at home, I would do less breadcrumbs. But if you want to taste what they're tasting in the 18th century, you need to make it the way that the book says at least once. It's really good that way. The last time I did an episode by myself on the YouTube channel, it was a deviled eggs recipe. And there was so much encouragement in the comments section of people saying that they went out and they tried that. And that's really great to hear. That's what we want you to do. We want you to take these flavors and aromas and go home and give them a try. There's nothing intimidating about this. This is easy stuff, and that recipe especially was, and so is this. I've got a show on Townsends Plus called Unpacking the Pantry. We do this all the time, taking these recipes, breaking them down, super easy, choosing super easy ones so that you guys can take them and immediately go try them in the kitchen. Please give this a try. I know that you will have fun, and I'm sure that you will like it. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day.